What's up, people? It's a beautiful day in Wisconsin, 5 degrees outside, snowed last night. Time to start the teardown. So by teardown, what I mean is just a slight refresh for the off season. First priority, new front tires. Volino OIDRs 225 40 18. Got two of those sitting in the back of the daily right now. Just got delivered. Gonna throw those on. Obviously, I got the overs off. Gonna clean all this up. Hopefully, get it pressure washed. I want to redo this entire rear structure. Obviously, I got a lot of fiberglass work to do. This bumper's been through some stuff. I kind of half-assed resin, reinforce it back together, but I got to do some actual body work on it. Make it look halfway decent again. Get it ready for paint. I've decided I'm probably not gonna have enough time before the first 10K this year to get this thing wrapped, get a livery on it like I want. So basically the plan as of right now is to fix all the fiberglass, probably put a new door on the car because this one got a little touch. I don't know, it closes fine now, so I might just leave it, but paint's still there. Maybe I can buff off that little scratch, pound it off a little bit better. We'll see. I'm gonna try and pull this rocker out. I gotta get one of those bodywork slide hammers to pull that out. But basically the plan is get the overs all fixed up, get my new bumper on. By the way, new bumper, big box sitting right there, just got delivered this week. So I'm gonna get that fitted, get that put on, do body work to the overs, the rear bumper, get my wing back on, and then probably get all of this stuff painted because I'm sick of looking at my car with white over fenders and black bumpers and skirts and everything. So we're gonna get that done, hopefully before the first 10K. I want this thing looking pretty, man. I'm sick of bringing this car to events looking half finished. So that's the plan. I already pulled GSR out, got my clutch off. Last event I went to was Test and Tune at Great Lakes Dragway up here. They have a skid pad. Shout out to Brad, runs those events. It's so cool to be able to have a skid pad like an hour away from us that we can do some testing and stuff on, make sure our cars are good for whatever we need them to be good for. So I pulled the clutch off. As you can see here, this pressure plate has really been through the business, but still holding the clamping force, and there's actually not really too many high spots on here. It's just very, very heat marked, I guess you would say. But basically I've replaced both of these discs within the last year that I've had this thing. I had to put a new center section in there, the center plate, the friction plate, whatever you call it, because that the old one got so warped that it was actually no longer sliding on these fingers of the pressure plate. And actually I'm feeling it right now. There's a little bit of ridges still in there. So I did want to get a new clutch before the off season, or before the season started, but not really in the budget right now because I had to buy tires and everything. So also obviously doing that, had to pull the GSR out. So I was just pulling the cover off, taking a look at everything in here, and to be honest, it actually looks pretty good. I had to rebuild this thing probably midway through the season. It was at the Brew City Banger event. I lost a couple gears. Basically what ended up happening is the shift forks, you see these two are different colors. The 3/4 shift fork, what actually happened is this cracked and spread apart right here because it was this bronze like the other one. So hit up RTS and I got these upgraded steel shift forks. Well, I should say I got one upgraded steel shift forks. The other one, if I notice any wear starting on that, or maybe next season off season, I'll get an upgraded steel fork in there. But so I had to replace this. I had to replace a bunch of seals in here. I basically did the 3/4 dog ring because I blew that up. So I had to put these on here. I had to replace a couple gears actually because I think what happened is I sheared off a piece of one of the dog rings and it flew back and got stuck into second gear, I think, and I shredded teeth off of a couple of gears. It was a big mess in here. It was an expensive fix. So now I'm kind of trying to get into the habit of taking this thing apart more regularly so that I can keep an eye on things. So if I see things like that happening, like the shift fork spreading, or you know, the dog rings or the sliders starting to get wore out, then I can catch it before it decides to throw big chunks of metal in the trans and wreck gears, because it was expensive. So a little bit of preventive maintenance includes pulling the trans and checking things like that out before we go beat the shit out of the car. So as you can see in here, everything actually looks pretty good. Pretty normal wear on the teeth of the gears. The only thing I really noticed is fourth gear dog ring. I don't know, we might be able to see it. Let's see here. They're starting to get a little bit chipped on the edges, but it's still got a decent ramp on there. So honestly, if in a perfect world, I would pull this off and replace it right now. But in all reality, I do not have time or money to order the stuff, and I really do not use fourth gear all that much, unfortunately. But so I'm gonna send it for now. We'll keep an eye on it, keep pulling the trans in between events and things like that. It's super easy. 4 bolts, drive shaft, downpipe. I mean, basically just pull that stuff off. I can pop the trans out myself now and take a look at it, make sure that we don't cause ourselves any headaches. So anyways, here's the new front bumper. Beautiful Duraflex piece. I've been waiting for this bumper specifically to be back in stock for quite a while now. I had an HKS rep on here from them before, and it's about the only other bumper that I really like for these cars. But this is believe charge speed style. I don't know, I'm not too good with body kit stuff, but this is actually probably my favorite IS front bumper style. We're gonna unwrap it and see how it looks. Yeah, so this one actually looks really good compared to the last HKS rep I got. A little scuff there. As you can see, they put this like disgusting silver chicken wire shit in here that I don't like, but we're gonna take that out. It's kind of cool. This one seems actually like a lot thinner and better made than the HKS rep one that I got. It's cool because I still have like the factory hood latch and stuff on my car, so I might actually be able to use some of this stuff. This actually has like the full tabs for the grill / headlight mounting on here too. Now obviously I'm probably gonna have to trim a bunch of this out, especially on the bottom here, because my intercooler is probably gonna sit to about right here, so I got to trim a lot of this out. But man, that thing actually looks pretty slick. I'm stoked on that. I really like this bumper style because this kind of chunky vent on the side here matches a little bit better, I think, or will match a little bit better with the over fenders that I have. So but I mean, just first impressions pulling this thing out of the box, this looks a lot better than some of the other rep kits that I've seen for IS, especially when it comes to Duraflex. Yeah, it's kind of, they put this little hole in here so you can get to that screw. I normally don't use these mounting holes anyways. I'm probably gonna have to trim a bunch of this off for wheel clearance and stuff. But yeah, I mean, there's quite a bit of material here, which is good, because before I was using those kind of little rubber band mounts, but with zip ties. So you know, put those on there. Nice quick and easy way to disconnect it. But dude, I'm stoked. I gotta start getting this cut up and fit. I don't know if I'm gonna start on that yet. My main priority is to kind of get the trans back in the car and get everything ready. But I don't know, I'm kind of getting really excited about this. I might just start trimming it up and put it on. We'll see how much time I have this weekend. Stick around. I'm just down here checking the flywheel out. Once again, not too many high spots on here from good couple seasons of abuse, but this FX 850 has really been holding up good. actually, now that I think of it, one issue I ran into when I was putting all this together, previous owner of this, Brian, was using, I think, stock size ARP flywheel bolts for this, and when I went to put it together, I noticed there was not enough threaded engagement that I was comfortable with. So these are actually ones that I had laying around from my 2UZ, because that uses longer flywheel bolts. These are 22RE ARP flywheel bolts. They're a little bit longer, but they're the same thread pitch and everything. So these are what I'm using. I wasn't comfortable having only like 3 or 4 threads in holding the flywheel to the crank. That sketched me out, even though, you know, I have an SFI bell housing and everything, so I wouldn't get my legs chopped off, but hopefully. So this is the same pilot bearing that you use for an AR5 swap. It's GM size inputs with obviously the Toyota size on the rear. I don't remember the exact specs on it, but I have a part number for that if anybody needs it. Just checking out some stuff. I remember this season I had my wastegate basically kept falling off the manifold because that used to be a 2-bolt flange, and I basically made it one piece. You can see my dirty, gross TIG welds on there, but that was kind of an in-between events fix that I had to figure out. Here, this is the slave cylinder for the clutch. It goes in the bell housing. This is the biggest pain in the ass when changing the clutch, because I have to slide this in, bolt the bell housing. So slide it into the bell housing, then bolt the bell housing on, and then when I go to line up the input shaft, I have to slide this over the input shaft while it's sitting inside the bell housing. So that's, unfortunately, that's like one of the things that prevents me from pulling the trans by myself, or I shouldn't say pulling it, but putting it back in. All right, so I'm going to reinstall the clutch. One thing I noticed when I pull the bolts out of here, I've used a bunch of Loctite on these before, and they're really crusty, so I got to clean the threads up, but also they were kind of stuck in these holes. So basically what I'm doing here is going through, I got this wore out wire brush on my drill here, and I'm basically just giving that a little wire brush, make sure it's good. Don't want to take too much material off so that the bolts are sloppy in there, but I've had these actually come loose on me like twice now, so I don't know. I think their recommended torque is like 18 foot-pounds or something, but basically I just go till I'm comfortable with it. I know this is some strong hardware, so you can take a bunch, and the flywheel is steel, so I'm not too worried about stripping threads or anything like that. But basically I have not had luck with their recommended torque specs. I put Loctite on and everything, and they still came loose on me. So basically I just use my own torque specs for that. So I'm gonna get this cleaned up. I gotta clean some of the ridges off the side of here too, from the friction plate in the middle. So clean that up, and then should be ready to toss back in the car. This, if you need to clean up the threads on a bolt and you don't have like a big wire wheel bench grinder, you can chuck it up in a drill if the head's small enough. So you can see here, this is Allen bolt, so fits right in there. Basically chuck that up in a drill, let her spin, and then I buy these cheap wire brushes from Harbor Freight because I go through them quite a bit. So you basically just spin that on the drill, and then I go both directions, so back and forth until the threads are clean. And then sometimes if I'm feeling like it, threads look kind of shitty, I'll chase them with a die or something. But generally this cleans up the threads enough to where you won't have any kind of binding issues when you go to thread these in. So sometimes the bristles on these aren't like close enough together. This one's kind of wore out. Sometimes when they're new, it works a little better. You can kind of shove the bolt deep in there and clean it out. But other times what works great is these battery terminal cleaners, also known as the penis fly trap. So you can take that, put the bolt in there and spin it like that, and that'll help clean the threads off too a little bit better sometimes than just the wire brush. All right, so I got the bell housing back on, clutch all up, tightened up. See, this is the throw bearing. This is what causes me the most headache trying to get this transmission back in,
because this can just fly down into the bell housing. I have to prop it up without the bearing slipping off. Every time I line this transmission up, I have to get the input shaft through there first before I can then lift it up and put it through the clutch. So I might try and film this so you guys can laugh at me. So basically, I'm underneath the car right now. I'm gonna get off the creeper. Yeah, I don't have a lift or anything, so I do everything on jack stands. It's a pain in the ass, but I don't know. I don't think I have enough room in this shop for a lift. All right, bench press the GSR. My weak little ass. Let's see if we can do it. Yep, that front bearing's giving me crap, so. Alright, so that definitely would have been a better idea to do that on the creeper, because that's how I took it out. And a little bit more leverage instead of having to extend my arm so far. Oh, lesson learned. So just gonna get this lined up the rest of the way. Feels like it's going in. So I'm running into an issue here. The throwout bearing itself is cockeyed on the input shaft, or on the collar that it rides on. So I got a couple bolts started, but I have to back it off a little bit now so I can reposition that throwout bearing. And then hopefully get this thing to line right up, because it's close. Alright, so I got the throwout bearing all lined up, and then it popped right into place, so I just got to finish tightening up these 4 bolts, throw the drive shaft, the mount, and the exhaust back on, and then should be good to go.
So I'm just doing kind of the initial mock-up here. First thing I noticed, like, this is really good for Duraflex because there's like a decent amount of room here for the headlights. Obviously, I haven't figured it out if it's gonna fit perfect or anything yet, but as you can see here, it almost has like this cooling panel built in with these 2 holes that line up to the radiator support tie-ins and the radiator mounts, and then these 2 holes, which is for the headlight and the grill mounting tab. I like that this kit has like the full grill in it, but as you can see, so I'm trying to line it up like basically in line with these holes, and then just see where I'm gonna have to start cutting. And as you can see, got my bar down there in the intercooler piping, and this section of like the ducting / fog light is definitely gonna have to get trimmed, as well as basically that whole under tray, because with my big ass intercooler that runs into there, and I built this auxiliary piece onto the bash bar last year just as kind of a cone protection for the intercooler and stuff, which seemed to work pretty well because the intercooler doesn't really have many scuffs or anything. But I'm gonna have to cut this out. Hopefully I can leave most of it though, so it kind of sits over that bash bar. I'm really gonna take my time trimming this thing because I don't want to cut too much off, because the more structure I can keep, the stronger it'll be. And like I said, I mean, if I could get it to kind of direct air through the grill and that bottom section through the intercooler. I do need a lot of help cooling this car. I was running it without a hood, unfortunately, most of last year because oil temps just get really hot. I have this 32 row coil rad oil cooler that I have sandwiched in between the intercooler and the radiator, and I have it like foam taped, like it's basically like sealed off almost. So the fans actually do draw through it. These are the Mishimoto race fans. I think these are 12-inch. My cousin made this little shroud for me, and I got it sealed off pretty well with some more of that foam tape. It really does pull a lot of air through here, but I was still running into oil temp issues basically, because I have a factory hood, which is laying around here somewhere. I have a factory hood. There's no vents in it or anything, so it's hard for that hot air to escape out the top, I guess. So I might have to find hood vents I like, or get a vented hood at some point. I may cut up that hood, but I'm gonna try and run it like it is this year. Hopefully I don't get it too hot. I want to experiment with a bigger oil cooler and like a vented hood, but all I know is when I took the hood off, I had significantly lower oil temps, so I'm assuming that's probably most of the issue, although it was still getting hot at times. So I would like to get a bigger cooler eventually. It's just I don't want to go rear radiator or anything, and as you can see here, I don't have a whole lot of room, so I want to keep the factory core support and everything until I crack it up, and then I can make a jig and tube the front end or whatever. But in the meantime, if everything works and is put together more like a factory car, I just think that's more convenient that way. I don't have to mess around with headlight tabs and all that stuff. I can just bolt everything the way it is factory, and it's nice and rigid still, like a factory car. The back end not so much with everything that I cut off, but that's one of the main reasons. Like, I don't want to be going, you know, with the headlights shaking, giving people a seizure and stuff. So I figure if I can leave it as securely mounted with the factory Altezza core support and everything, then might as well leave that until I run into issues. But who knows? I might have to move some things around. I'd almost rather put the radiator in the back before I cut the front end up, just because if I could do that, then I could put a bigger oil cooler, and I don't know, it would make it a lot easier. As you can see there, I mean, really close from that water pump to the fans and everything. So I don't know, I think it needs more room to get air out of it, but hopefully ducting and some better venting will take care of it. But I'm gonna start working on this bumper. We'll see if I can get this thing fitted. All right, so as you can see, I'm getting it a little bit closer now. I cut some of that off inside, obviously a rough cut, but that gives me, I don't know, a couple inches there. But now we're running into these down bars that I made, which, no surprise, I should have made them a little closer together, but I think when I whipped this bumper up, I didn't even have, or when I whipped this bar up and welded it on the Street Faction bash bar, I didn't have a bumper to test fit to like get the spacing right and everything, and I just kind of whipped it together. So I gotta trim some of this ducting on both sides. That's kind of what's holding it up right now. You can see that there on that side, but it looks like it's gonna line up great. Like, those holes line up, these ones look like they're gonna line up. It's lining up with the hood latch great. So honestly, I'm pretty stoked on this so far. Hopefully I don't have to trim too much of this grill part out for the intercooler, because I had to on my last bumper and I wasn't in love with the way it looked, but we'll see. Let's give it a go. All right, real quick, I haven't filmed anything because I've been super busy trying to get all this body work and stuff done. I had my guy here helping me with fiberglass repair and some of the filler work that needed to be done. I had him fix this rocker because I'm not good at body work. So he's got a new door, decided to do that. He's painting it right now, as well as the bumpers, the skirts, the overs, everything. I decided to just spray the calipers quick to match the toe straps front and rear and everything. And I painted all my wheels black because I'm a racer and people hate black wheels. But I think they look good, especially with a darker colored car. It's mostly neutral tones. So yeah, I don't know. Probably one of the things I'm most excited about, refresh for the season. New lug nuts. Because before I had GK Tech lug nuts and they suck. They're awful. So Yeah, you can see got front and rear calipers painted. Shout out to Natty Lights, same color. But yeah, that's it. So we'll catch you in the next refresh where hopefully this car's all back together. Thanks for watching. Remember, subscribe, like the video if you liked it. See you later.
The forbidden flashlight.